Perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Mel. Okay. For some reason, I can see Lorraine's screen is all I can see. So, all right. Okay, very good. So here we are. I'm glad, as I said, that this is working with a couple of snags, but that's okay. That's normal. And it's much better than what happened with YouTube a few days ago, which was quite shocking. Apparently, my higher self has a sense of humor. So that's all right. All right, so I do have a question from Leslie here, but before I go to that, I wanted to update you on a few things that have come up in the last 3 sessions, and I am releasing the session 3 sessions ago. Right now, I just started releasing. There are 2 videos out, but there's a lot going on in that session, and we have 2 sessions after that I'm working on, and they will release soon after this one. But so basically, and of course, a lot of information has come up. The main thing that we've been discussing with the 25th is the fact that they keep telling us that we have rebalanced the polarity. And I wanted to know what has really transpired here. I mean, why is it so difficult for us to deal with what has transpired here? And which is the reason we are so desperate to keep the show in place. And I know, I'm sure you guys are feeling the same way that I am, which is like, the gig is up. Like, we know this is not real. Why are we still wanting to see this stuff come up that's negative? And the 25th tells us, yes, but it is just a show, because in reality, the polarity has very much changed. Darkness is not even close to what it was before. And we are doing this because, again, we are desperate to make sure that we can still somehow believe in the game, that everything stays the way that it was before. On the surface, behind the curtain, nothing is the same. And proof of that will be when we have the recall. And you guys know what I'm referring to, just like, right? In case you don't know, because this is your first time coming in. But basically, here's what's happening. So polarity is not 50-50. We like to think of polarity, positive and negative polarity, basically a balanced polarity, as being 50-50. Apparently our higher selves are not accountants, because actually polarity is a range, and it's a range that goes from 46-47% up to 55-56%. And when they put it this way, what they mean is that we're assuming that the light, at the level of the light of what we consider to be good, obviously there's no good and bad, it's a game terminology we're using, but when it comes to the light, we can go up to 55%, even 56%. And even though we're 5 or 6 percentage points off of the midpoint, we're okay. It's still somewhat fun. But in terms of darkness, we have a much narrower range. So we can go down 3 or at most 4 points. So we would go down to 46-47%. And so 3 or 4 points off the 50 mark. And then we start feeling it. And even though it seems like such a small percentage, such a small change of 1 percentage point, the 25th has said it is huge in terms of vibration. Like, to be exposed to a 1 or 2% change in vibration means that once we pass that point, we are not having fun. Nobody's having fun anymore. In fact, we have decided on takedowns. All the takedowns were done in the multiverse, and we've only done 2 prior to this one. So 3 takedowns total. We have called them when we reached 60% negative polarity, meaning that, basically it was 40% light. And so it is no joke to go down by, again, 1 or 2 percentage points. And so that's the balanced polarity. Now, I have asked them where we are, and they keep saying we have actually rebalanced the polarity. When we asked, I want to say a couple of months ago, they said we're very close to rebalancing. And in the last session, they said we've rebalanced the polarity. So we are in range. The next time around, Lorraine, let's make a note. We're going to ask where exactly we are. I would actually like a percentage of where we are, but basically we're in range, so we're okay. If we hadn't set up, or if we hadn't let the dark set up all the systems here, everything we see has been set up or extremely infiltrated and controlled by the dark, we would see it. We would see that the polarity is different. Now, why do we not want to change this? We don't want it for 2 reasons, really. That's why I want to keep the shell in place. One is because we don't want to deal with, and we only have, not that much longer here. We don't want to deal with having to figure out what we're going to do. We don't have a government anymore, or to see a complete government collapse and maybe complete mayhem and people running around like crazy, crazy people. We don't want to deal with that. I know I don't. I'm exhausted already just keeping up the day to day. And so I'm sure I'm not the only one. Certainly, I don't want to think about, oh, what solutions will we have? We're not rebuilding anything here because, again, we're moving on. But the main reason we are wanting the shell to stay in place is because, again, there has been so much, and again, the stuff doesn't happen anymore because we've rebalanced the polarity. There's been so much negativity. And again, I understand we're judging, okay? We're judging here, but let's call it low vibration. There's been so much low vibration stuff that's happened on this planet. The 25th tells us, and consider that they know that we have watched, all of us, I'm sure at this point, I've watched a lot of Intel channels. We know what's been going on. Like, for example, I wasn't aware of some of the things, for example, the rituals and all that stuff that I can't really talk about because we'll get shut down in a second here if we do. But basically, we've all been, we are aware of that stuff, and we think that's the stuff that needs to be uncovered. The 25th has told us several times, that stuff is like 1%, less than 1% of what's happening here. I can't even imagine what else would have happened here. And so they said, you cannot handle it. I know, for one, I cannot even handle the part about the rituals. Because one thing is knowing the way that the Intel community tells you, oh, they're telling you, just like I'm talking about it and everything is fine. We're like, oh, I can handle this. In reality, what happens when there is no veil is that we don't just know about it. We are there. We basically were there present, not witnessing, but we will feel all the emotions of the person who was the victim, quote unquote victim, because in terms of higher self, there are no victims, but of course, that's not how we've experienced things at this level. So you're going to be there and experience everything that the victim experienced and everything that the perpetrator experienced. And take it at face value if you haven't already had an inkling of this. It's awful. I have had dreams about this already because some of us have already started. Okay, first of all, let me qualify. All of us are doing the same work behind the scenes. We are learning that we are Neo, meaning that we are creating our reality. What that entails is that the veil is getting very, very thin. Some of us are putting off some of the work. Well, a lot of the work will be done on the earth, but some of us don't want to do certain parts of the work because we have responsibilities. We don't want to break down at a 3D level. We just don't have the ability, either emotionally, well, both emotionally and physically, to deal with this disclosure. Because again, it's not just disclosure like you're saying, you're hearing somebody talk about it. It's not even disclosure like you're watching it on TV, which is bad enough because I can't even watch movies that are a little bit scary. Nowadays, I can only imagine what this will look like. I would break down completely. I know it. And again, I'm not the only one because we're talking about awful things here that have taken place. But again, if you are then there and you're having all these emotions, you're actually feeling it. I mean, this is the stuff of nightmares. I can't even imagine. And I've had dreams that basically circled around these topics because I am not ready, even in dream state, to actually be there fully. And I had, for example, one dream though, where I became the perpetrator and I woke myself up. That's how shocking it was. Because the 25th tells us if anyone has done something, we have all done it. If anyone has been subject to something, we've all been the victim, basically. And so the reason I'm saying this is because some of us are not willing to do this work now. It's just, there's no rush. This is not a race. And I'm talking about our conscious level. But some others of us have in the community, and I'm aware of this because some people talked about either themselves or other people that they know having these dreams. Some of us are getting this information because right now, the dreams that we are getting, for those of us who want to remember the dreams, okay? You don't have to, there's nothing wrong with, remember, it's just what some of us are doing. If you remember your dreams, there are two types of dreams mainly that we are having right now. One has to do with life reviews, which could be the current life review or what we refer to as past life reviews. Keep in mind, I want to tell you this, past life reviews does not mean, we already know time does not exist, therefore the past does not exist. So you might believe that you have a dream that's a past life, but in reality, there is no linear timeline behind us. So you might just be collecting from a bunch of different memories of things that have happened here. So life review doesn't necessarily mean it's your life. However, what comes up in dream when it comes to life review is stuff that you need to look at because you're integrating it and accepting it. So maybe some things that have happened perhaps in this lifetime, or that looked similar to things that you've experienced in other lifetimes, and you or someone else. Basically, all of this is being brought up to you, to your attention by your higher self, because you need to work through something. So that's one. Not that you need to work through something, you want to work through something, all right? None of us has to do anything. We are free, as it says. The second type of dream that's been coming up is the, and this is the even tougher one, the very tough one, is the knowledge of what has transpired on this planet. We're not going to get the whole knowledge all at once, because again, this would entail having no veil. We are very much keen on keeping the veil in place. And basically when these dreams come up is whatever you or your higher self thinks that you're ready for. You are your higher self, obviously. The problem, this is why this is so hard. In dream state, we're not really sleeping. You're astral traveling, meaning that your higher self is taking you places, is showing you stuff. Basically, that's where you have no veil. It's a dream state. Because of this, you do feel all the emotions. This is not a show that you're watching on TV. And even then, you know how emotional we get when we watch shows on TV. This is something that is happening to you. And so because of that, I've heard, for example, again, in the community, some people have brought up the fact that, for example, their loved ones have had such dreams, normally it's kids, because kids don't have the same judgment that we have about a lot of stuff that's happened here. So they'll have less of a hard time. Everybody's going to have a hard time, but less of a hard time when we get to New Earth to integrate this stuff. And so a lot of kids are already doing this work, and they're having what we would consider horrible dreams. But they're having them because the higher self has decided that they can handle it at the end of the day. And so they're doing this work, which is wonderful. So I just wanted to give you a quick premise. If you have questions about this, please let me know. And I'm gonna take a look here, see if we have questions. Okay, so Lorraine has a question here, and I will get to your question, Leslie, in 1 second, but I wanted to see if there were questions specifically about the subject that I just brought up. Oh, you're talking about the wild animals, actually. Okay, I thought it was about this. Okay, so let's go in order then. I am going to start answering questions here. And I'm going to answer Leslie's question. And he says, how will we get to New Earth? Do we go to sleep and wake up there? It just depends. It doesn't have to happen during the night. And it doesn't have to be a process. It really is instantaneous. Basically, the moment that we are done here, our higher self just takes us out. And so you wouldn't even really be aware of what's happening to your body. You wouldn't, it doesn't, you could be in the shower in a second, you're gone. It's almost like the scene from what they do with the teleporting in, what was that, Star Trek? I was confused, Star Trek and Star Wars. All right, so yeah, it was Star Trek when I say beam me up, Scotty, that kind of thing. It's just, you just dissolve. Everything will dissolve. And all of a sudden we'll realize that this is all holographic. And it's like we're simply switching our focus from this to something else. And the second, the 25th has told us many times that the only reason this exists is because we're focusing on it. The moment you remove your focus, this reality doesn't exist anymore. Now, a lot of people have removed their focus from here. Obviously, a lot of people who have gone to 3D chambers are not focusing on this anymore. But the rest of us, not only us here right now, but and I'm talking about essences here right now, NPCs don't focus, don't do anything. They're just holographic creations, basically. But even the people that are brothers and sisters who have gone to other alien planets, they are focused on Earth very much. They're watching, obviously, as you can imagine, to see what happens here. Because they've been told various stories, depends on what they've been told. Somebody might have been told that the reason they were evacuated is because there's a meteorite coming, or that something is going to happen, or maybe the dark is going to cause a nuclear attack, whatever it is. But meanwhile, they know Earth is still here, because of course the aliens are watching as well. And so they're also obviously focusing on this reality. All of these people, including the aliens, are keeping this reality going, this planet going, because to them it's real. We are the ones that know that this is really not real anymore, or really never was real. But at this level of reality, we do perceive it as being real. So again, it depends on what perspective you're using. So let me see here. So do we go to sleep and wake up there? So, okay, hopefully I answered that satisfactorily. Otherwise, you guys, I don't mind, give me feedback if you have follow-up questions or you want more information. And so, yeah, in our case, we go to New Earth. And so that's why when everything dissolves, we basically, we find ourselves on a new planet. But for the other people, for example, the aliens or our brothers and sisters with the aliens, they would basically just see the planet dissolve, which is going to be a trip. It's going to be tough, guys, but we've been working on this a long time and I'm ready. All right. And so, okay, Lorraine. So yeah, I'm not sure. So let me read the question first. It says, so Lorraine's question, what percentage of the remaining essences are wild animals and companion animals? What percentage of essences are human? She's referring to, you're referring to, Lorraine, and correct me if I'm wrong here, to when we get the numbers, we've got numbers from the 25th in the last session where they told us we're about, I think the last session they said we're about 20 to 25 million left now. So not very many. In fact, the count has gone down. When we started asking, which was about 2 months ago, September, I think we were told we were still 50 million. And we quickly went down to like 35 million, and now we're down to 20 to 25. So essences are leaving all the time, because again, there's not much left here at this point. And so the last time they told us that we were, and it's not for you, Lorraine, I know you remember, but since I haven't released this information yet, the last time during the last session, we were told that we are 20 to 25 million essences left. There were 4 million. So there are still 4 million essences on the side of the dark, which is 1% of the original number. We want these people to stay here. They're the ones that are keeping the shell going for us. Because again, we don't want the shell to collapse all at once. And then there's 50 million people on the side of the light. And that's why we are calling all the shots now. Not only will we rebalance the polarity, which means really that the vibration is not there to support a lot of dark ideas anymore. Even if the dark was intending on doing certain things, which you might on the surface believe that they are, because of course we hear that the sky is falling one way or the other every other day. But none of that was happening. If you notice, for example, just a few months ago, we're told World War III is going to happen, hyperinflation, oh my God, gas prices. Gas prices are lower than they've been even before the fake Ukraine war started. And they're back to $2 something in the United States, which is like completely like very low end of prices. Also prices for necessities has gone down. I don't know, I haven't checked, maybe some of you might know. If you do, please let me know in the comments what the prices for electricity are in Europe right now, because of course they use the excuse of the thing in Ukraine. Again, I have to be careful with the words I say. Hopefully we don't get, I don't know if you guys know already, if you remember that I already had a video taken down by YouTube because truth, we can't talk about the truth. And so I'm trying to be careful here. But basically so we haven't had a lot of these. There's the intel and even mainstream media that are yelling left and right that we need to be scared of this, scared of that. The vibration is not there to support these negative, again, we consider negative scenarios coming through. There's not going to be a collapse. There's not going to be more lockdowns. There's not going to be any of that low vibrational stuff. It's not happening. We are here for one reason only. We are learning. We are consciously learning that we create our reality. Therefore, guess what our intention is? We are the vast majority of the essences left. The vibration has changed, which means, again, negative, very low vibrational ideas are not supported anyway. We are certainly not supporting any of that. We are barely able to keep the shell in place. In fact, I'm sure you've noticed there's a lot of good stuff that's popping up left and right. Slowly, because again, we don't want it to look like we changed the vibration, but slowly popping up. We are moving towards a recall. And I know that we do a good job. I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about you guys. I know you guys do a good job in a Telegram group to give us to keep us apprised of what's happening around the world in terms of the recall and people questioning the entire narrative of what's happened during the pandemic. So we're getting there. So yeah, it's all good. But basically, because of that, when they talk about, to specifically finish answering your question, Lorraine, when they talk about, when they give us these numbers in terms of how many assets are left, they're only speaking about humans. So I am not asked how many SSs they're actually telling me. I hadn't asked how many SSs are left on the side of flora, fauna, basically wild animals, companions. They're telling me 7%. 7% of the original SSs that were here in the form of animals, and actually they're telling me trees. So trees are, they're saying 2 to 3% for nature. And if you think about it, in fact, this is a question that I do have for them, is it seems to me that many more SSs are on the team of animals, because as you know, I just want to explain very briefly so that I don't create any confusion. The way we set this up is that we have the two teams, the light and the dark, and these are human teams, or teams of SSs that have an interest in embodying as humans, basically as us. Whereas there is a separate team that embodies as the animals and as nature, what we consider nature. And what I don't know, and I don't know why this would be, and I'm actually going to ask, is why there are so many more SSs that embody as animals, because we have so many more animals. Doesn't mean every animal has an essence. They might just have more NPCs than we do. But anyway, I'm going to find out about that. But for now, they're telling me 2% nature, excuse me, and they're telling me 7% of the animals still have their essence. And so basically these are most likely, yes, and they're saying yes. So these are the animals that are going to New Earth with us. Some of them are still going to other places, but most of these animals and fauna, they're coming to New Earth, and they want to be embodied in the same way. They don't necessarily want to, they're not going to be as wild as we are. And because when we get to New York, we're going to want to try all kinds of shapes. We might turn into butterflies and superheroes and whatnot and everything in between. Animals don't really care. They might just embody the same way that they were here. Now, of course, they're going to be just as shiny and sparkly and, you know, as we are as humans. And that, but they really don't have any interest because they never had a veil. So they really don't have any interest in playing with the fact that there is no veil and we can be whatever we want. All right, so hopefully that answered that, Lorraine, just to make sure that I don't skip any questions here. Okay, so Elena, hello, Elena. Okay, so once the essence is gone, how long can the body remain functional? Excuse me, 1 second. I have an essence and I'm already breaking down now, so I don't know about that. All right, so how long? It just depends. You could be functional for 40 years. It just depends. So it depends. Okay, so yeah, okay. So they're saying something because they're saying that it depends on the vibration that the body was able to keep, to maintain before the essence left. So if you are the body of an essence who had an interest in, for example, being very 3D, taking a bunch of low vibrational products, and I mean, it's kind of almost impossible to avoid all vibrational products, but some of us do a better job of, for example, eating organic foods or whatever it is, that kind of thing. You know what I'm talking about. Some of us just are more keen on not allowing certain vibrational products into us, which might be drugs, might be pharmaceutical drugs, it's the same, right? Might be anything of that kind. And also it's mental, emotional, so also what you watch, everything. We know this, okay? So some of us are better at keeping themselves, not better, we prefer not to have low vibrational products or that many in our lives. And some instead want that experience, okay? There is no judgment and nobody's wrong for doing any of it. But so because of that, the body, up until the essence is gone, the body is able, if the essence is not interested in having side effects from this exposure, then nothing is going to happen. But the second that the essence leaves, you could have side effects show up because the body is still being subject to these things. Or you could have the body continue to do things that they're used to doing, because it's not like the NPCs pivot overnight because the essence is gone and all of a sudden the body breaks down. So we've seen this, for example, in terms of people with Alzheimer's or stuff like that. The essence is gone and the body does not do well without the essence. Okay, so it's really subjective. It's not that I can tell you, oh, they last 2 years or whatever it is, because we're not robots. It doesn't really work that way. But so there are people that can last a very long time. You wouldn't. So let me give you a case in point. My boyfriend has a friend who's now a friend of mine as well, and he's known her for a lot longer, obviously, than I have. But basically, this woman, I always had a feeling that she wasn't there. She is a lovely person. We love her. She's super nice. She's one of the nicest people that I know. But I had a feeling, especially one time, it was so obvious I couldn't ignore it, even though I tried to ignore the fact that I'm dealing with NPCs most of the time, because none of us want to know. It's part of the shell, right? We don't want to know that we're talking to somebody who has no essence. And so one time though, it became so obvious that we looked at each other. She said something, we looked at each other, we're like, oh, that's it. I mean, she just gave herself away. And so then I asked the 21st, and of course they confirmed. And what they told me is that she's been gone for a long time. She must be, I don't know, she must be, if she's not 60, she's close. And she has been an NPC since she was a teenager. And so it really depends. And she's happy and she does her thing. But here's the thing. They just do the same thing all the time. They have no spark. They have no ambition. They have no, and it's not that ambition means that you have an essence. What I mean is that she's just happy-go-lucky. It's almost like one thing after the other. She's not worried about what's going to happen in 10 years, 20 years, or whatever. It's like she takes things one day at a time, which is a great way of taking things here, because otherwise you start thinking of what could happen. And a lot of us have had a hard time with that. But so that's what I mean. It's like you can last a long time. It really just depends on what the body can handle, what the body has been exposed to, and so on and so forth. She's actually pretty happy, this person, as I said, so good for her. So I hope that answers your question, Elena. So really there is no timeline, specific timeline for anybody. Okay, Lorraine. So that is 19 million human essences. The rest of essences are? No, okay. I'm glad that you asked this follow-up question. So what I was saying is we have about 15 on the team of the light. We have 4 on the team of the dark. Everybody's in the middle. So everybody, when they tell us 25 million essences here at this time, everybody is human. They're saying 25 million human essences, or essences that I've incarnated as humans. And then we have 7% of the original number of essences that I've incarnated as animals are still here, and then 2% as nature. So I hope that makes sense. All right, Mel, so this is a practice run for New Earth. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Learning we create a reality, which is what we will do here, there at Lightspeed, sorry. So this is what creating a reality is what we will do on New Earth at Lightspeed. And that is correct. And so what's happening is that a lot of us are running into snags right now. And I mean, snags of any kind. Could be health, could be, like in my case, I've had my car like get hit while it was parked. I wasn't even in a car twice in 2 months. Still dealing with it, by the way. I'm taking it back to the body shop this week. I'm like, boring. Anyway, and so we have snags that pop up. Could be financial, could be anything that looks 3D. Okay, why is that? Because again, we want to believe, while we're doing this work, we want to believe that the shell is real, and our higher self is showing us is showing us where we are putting our focus as well. Because while we want to keep this real, when we say they want to keep the shell real, we're talking about the external shell, governments, institutions of all kinds, because that's the external shell again, and they make us feel like, yeah, this is planet Earth. We're still on planet Earth, all right? As much as we don't like it. But when it comes to our own personal reality, our own personal life, whatever we see pop up is a reflection of what we're focusing on. So for example, some of us are having health issues because we are focusing on low vibrational information, because we do want to keep the reality going. So no judgment, okay? We're all doing this one way or the other. But basically by doing this, then we're having side effects, again, that our higher self is allowing to show us where our focus is on. And this is because we are supposed to consciously, to whatever degree, there's no percentage points that we have to pass, or a certain bar that we have to pass before we move on. But we're all learning individually that we do create our reality. So again, we focus on certain things. I'll give you an example because I want this to be clear. And we have many examples in the sessions we've done. So you'll watch the videos, you'll hear all about that. But let me give you a quick example from my own personal life. I have had certain things come up to where I'm like, this makes no sense. I know I'm doing this. Okay. We know we're doing this. We're creating our reality. At this point, we know. And the 25th told me, I said, why does it have to be low vibration? Everything that I create has to be low vibration. Can I have something fun and happy every once in a while? And the 25th told me that the reason this happens is because we do want to show in place. When we create high vibrational stuff, we're like, oh, I did that. See, I did that. This is how I want my life to look like. So we feel very much in charge. But when we have low vibrational stuff happen, then we're like, oh, can't believe this is happening. Like, it's not me making it happen. So that holds the shell in place a little bit harder. Like, we can actually believe in it a little bit. Of course, now I've asked, so now I know it's all me. And they said the moment that you realize it's all you, whether positive or negative, but most of the time it's going to be negative here, just because we don't believe when good stuff happens. When good stuff happens, we believe, okay, I made that happen. So we only think that we're living in the shell, or that this reality is real when bad things happen. And so we're making this happen to keep ourselves emotionally stable, okay, before we move on. But now that I was told, and that's why I'm making you aware of it, and they said, okay, well, I know game's up. I know I'm creating all of it. They said the moment that you're aware of that you basically accept the fact that you create your reality, then these nags will dissipate. We won't have as much low vibrational stuff come up, because basically your higher self is going to be like, yeah, okay, we already know this is not real. So I wanted to pass that on because I think that's important, because a lot of us are dealing with stuff still. So yes, Mel, you are absolutely correct. And yes, and basically to go a little bit more into depth into your comment here, which I think is very deep, where you say it's a practice run. We will do all of this at light speed on New Earth. But since we are here over your time, why is it important that we are doing this work? And all of us are doing it. Again, doesn't matter what it looks like for you, we're all doing it, okay? We don't have, no two people have to do it the same way. There is no such thing. Every essence is different. But why is this important? Why this over time? Because, and we actually were told about this in the last session, because if we had gone to New Earth and not done this work, and we didn't have to do this work, but the reason we thought it was worthwhile staying behind to do part of this work is because if we had gone to New Earth and been basically pretty much close to our higher selves, we're not going to be our higher selves, but we're going to be pretty close to that. We're going to have the 25th, the consciousness of the 25th, which means we're all going to connect immediately. And we are going to manifest stuff instantly. We're going to be able to shift ourselves. We're going to be able to basically create and recreate everything at a whim, on a whim. When people see us, when aliens see us, basically the people that still want to believe in the Matrix, just like we do now, they're going to think, oh, that's a special thing they can do on New Earth, but we cannot do it. Yeah, they don't need food, but we do. Yeah, they don't have time, but we need time. They're not going to believe that they can do this stuff. The point of spreading this information right now, or the point of letting it percolate within the matrix, is because we want this information to be available. Doesn't mean it's going to be forced on anybody. Doesn't mean if somebody on the Pleiades wants to believe, yeah, the Pleiades are real and we're in the 9th dimension, which means that we know this much, but we are less than somebody in the 13th dimension, because that's how we like to think of things hierarchically in the matrix. If they want to believe that, they can. If we want to, at some point, I would have to be crazy to do this again, but at some point, maybe after New Earth, I want to reincarnate on a 3D planet course, it's not going to look like this. It's not going to be this negative. Nothing is ever going to be this negative again. So it actually might be fun. So say that I want to go back to a 3D reality. I'm going to do that. I don't have to remember what we're talking about now. I don't have to remember all the things that I've learned on the earth. So you're never at a conscious level in any future incarnations have to know any of this. But this information is going to be available for you the moment that you need it, the moment that you're like, I don't like my reality. And then if you want to wake yourself up, because this is an individual decision of the essence, you want to experience awakening again, like we have in this lifetime, you will remember this information and you can use it to your advantage. Basically, for the first time now, historically in the matrix, we have decided it is okay to have this information available. Okay, so to go back to what we were saying about New Earth. If we move to New Earth and the aliens see us doing this, they're going to justify themselves by saying, yeah, this is them, because they're weird. They're unique, whatever word they use, doesn't matter. Or New Earth has an atmosphere that allows them to do these things, whatever excuse they tell themselves. Because we are doing this now, we are doing it on a dying planet, and we're doing it on a 3D planet, and we're doing it on a 3D planet that's a complete basket case. We already said the other 3D planets are also enslaved. We make them look like New Earth. They look like New Earth compared to where we are. Their percentage points of their polarity has never been, they've dipped a couple of times, but basically it's always hovered a little bit below 60% negative polarity, and they're already enslaved. We have reached peaks of 70 to 80% here. It is huge. So we're never going to experience this again. So the fact that we are doing this now, we're showing this now, you see, this is a completely new twist in the game everywhere within the matrix. This is huge because all the planets here, including us until a year and a half ago, we were told about this. What do we believe? Within the matrix, we've always believed that dimension equals level of consciousness, that there is good and bad, and therefore look at planet Earth. My God, they're horrible, which is what we thought here, right? This is horrible. And all these judgments, which is fine. There is no judgment on any of us for having thought that, on any of the aliens for thinking that this is the game we want to play. Okay, it's about separation, it's about judgment, it's about all of that. It's all fun to us. But at the same time, now that we want this new information to percolate, we had to bring it about in a way where people are going to take notice. And this information is percolating. First of all, it is now allowed to be downloaded because we brought it in from the 25th. It's allowed to be known and to be downloaded within the matrix, meaning that our conscious level, people who want it, again, they can access it. Okay, this wasn't even available to be accessed before. And so this is why it's important to do this now. We're going to do so much more when we get to New Earth. But even the fact that we are starting this process now is huge. In fact, every time I say the word huge, I'm smiling because 25th says, Clea doesn't even have the vocabulary to explain exactly how huge this is. And then they laugh because the greatest word we use is huge. They're saying it's incredible. I'm not sure what happened here. We might have lost Lorraine. Lorraine, are you still there? Okay. For some reason, I saw somebody pop up asking to be let in. And I thought you were the host. Okay, so okay, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah. All right. I just want to make sure people are let in. Okay. So you have an echo, Lorraine. Can you mute yourself, please? There. Okay. So let's see. So Leslie, does it mean when my essence goes from my body will be here and I will know that I will know what my body is doing? No. So the reason I say no is if you're referring to what we said when we're ready to go to New Earth, it will be instantaneous. Your essence leaves and your body is gone, dissolves. It's the second basically we're going to New Earth, we're removing our focus from here. And when we remove our focus, all of this is going to become nothing. It's going to become like dust. In fact, it's how they showed it to me. And because of that, there will be, you won't even be aware of your body. Like it might be an instant in which you see that everything is, the entire planet is dissolving, but that's all we'll see. Where it's not going to be a process, if that makes sense. Siobhan, hello. Okay, if we as a collective, and I don't think I've skipped any other questions here, but if I do, please let me know. I don't want to skip anybody's question. Okay, so if we as a collective decide to stay here longer, have the 25th given you any info on what we can expect with regard to our powers, possibly developing in some way, e.g. telepathy, etc.? Actually, yes, actually just in the last session. So hopefully we don't decide to stay here much longer, but one thing at a time. We don't have a timeline. And again, there is no time, so really. But basically what they said is that we are not waiting to go to New Earth to gain all our powers. So yes, we are going to gain our powers while we're still here. So it doesn't mean every one of us is going to have all these powers, but basically some are going to have telepathy, as you mentioned. We are going to, and I think this is a tough one, we're going to be able to tell when somebody is out the dark immediately. So no veil, basically. We are going to feel each other's feelings, those kinds of things. Basically, it's closer to how our higher self behaves, which is, we all know what's what. And then of course we come here and play, but you know what the other essence, the game that the other essence is playing, that kind of thing. So yes, we are going to get these powers, which is interesting because well, what was this? This was July 2021, so a year and a half ago. I had a dream before my very first qhht session when I connected with the 25th. I had a dream 3 days before my session, my first session. And this dream, I have spoken about this dream before, but just as a refresher, basically was a dream in which I saw aliens coming. They showed up. It was like almost a garage door opening, you know, one of those warehouse garage doors opening, and a bunch of aliens coming out as if out of an elevator. And basically they were there to pick up people. And but I didn't have my daughter with me. And so I said, I can't come. They were there to pick me up as well. And I said, no, I can't come. And they said, don't worry, we'll come back in 2 years. This was the original timeline, of course. We know that that's been accelerated and everybody's pretty much gone now. But basically what they told me at the end of the dream, which is why I'm bringing it up, is they said, oh, but don't worry, it's not like you're just gonna hang out here for another 2 years. You're gonna get a lot of powers before we leave. And so in the dream, I saw, for example, I saw that I was levitating, or that I knew what people were thinking, that kind of thing. I'm not saying we're gonna be levitating here. That definitely would break the illusion of the shell. But basically, we are gonna get these powers. Obviously, the dream told me, and this again was before I even met the 25th for the first time. So that was already happening. I do want to say something because I mentioned the timeline. So I'm sure I'm not the only one, but I was very disappointed when I found myself here after the deadline were given for the takedown to happen, which was past summer. It was around July. Even though the 25th had told us many times that this was based on what we wanted to experience. However, since then, they've explained at length something that clearly I've missed, because this is what we do here. Again, we attach ourselves to a timeline. They told us many times time does not exist. But the reason they were telling us, here's where you are, you're getting closer, you're accelerating, you're almost done, in years when this is going to happen. And most of it has happened. It's not like this didn't happen. We still have a plan, and we still have, you know, the semblance of a plan, and this fine, we're still here. But most of our brothers and sisters are gone. So everything we worked on for 300 years has taken place. It's not like we're just missing the last bit, which we decided to delay. But what they were talking about, it wasn't a timeline as in saying, I'm going to have this on your desk by, you know, this project on your desk by next Tuesday. They always use the analogy of emptying out a huge warehouse. So they use warehouse logistics as an analogy. And they say, you've been working on this for 300 years. You have this huge warehouse you've been emptying out. And at the rate that you've been working, we expect, or you expect, you're going to be done in, let's say it's going to take you 1 more month, 1 more week, or 2 more days. You're almost done. You're that close. This is what they meant when they told us, oh, you're accelerating or whatever you're doing. It wasn't that they're telling us something is going to happen. So this is what's different in terms of how, for example, sometimes we hear in the New Age spirituality, which again, I followed. So I know, and I think this is what also messed with me when I was disappointed, because I thought, you know how they always give us timelines, like the solar flash is going to happen. We always think it's something outside that's just going to happen. So in July, there's going to be a solar flash and there's no two ways about it. Whatever you're doing doesn't matter because it's coming from the outside. The 25th has told us a million times, nothing comes from the outside. Nothing exists outside of us. So it's really a matter of what experience are we having and how long do we want it to last. So even right now in the solar time, it's a matter of, that's why they're not giving us a timeline, because it really depends on us. So they have said that we believe we're going to figure out at a conscious level, enough of us are going to figure out our conscious level that we create a reality by the spring, okay? It doesn't mean that the analogy they use here to say when they express this to us, and they've said many times, this is not a timeline. We're just telling you how you feel about this, how you think you're going to feel emotionally within X amount of months, where you feel like, okay, so this experience is done for me. I've kind of done this. And what are they talking about? They're talking about the fact that we realize, and again, the recall will signal that we realize that didn't just happen. We made that happen. We're the one who have been intending it. And this is what they mean when they say the experience. And the analogy they use here is they're saying is like, say your birthday is coming up. So my birthday is coming up this weekend. Okay, it's not, I'm saying this is an example. And I decide that I am going to take the whole day off, or say it's this Thursday work day. And I'm going to take the whole day off. And that's the experience I want to have because it's my birthday. I deserve it. I'm going to give myself a day of pampering, whatever it is. Or, you know what? I have work to do. I have a deadline on Friday. I can't really make it. I shouldn't take the whole day off. I think I'm just going to take a long lunch, 2-hour lunch, and call it a birthday. It's a celebration. That's all. So it's all a matter of how do we decide to experience this, and based on that, that will basically dictate how long this experience is going to take. So that's why we have absolutely no deadline right now. So hopefully we decide after the recall that we're ready to go. We don't want to hang out to have any more experiences here, because I think most of the experiences here, we could probably agree on that, are not that fun. Now, after the recall, we might decide, well, this is fun because, you know, we made something huge happen. Hopefully not, guys. I'm just saying. All right, so let me see. All right, next question from Elena. Follow-up question. Can we support NPCs' bodies energetically until the takedown? I'm talking about family members. Yes, absolutely. So NPCs are subject, they go with the flow of energy. Now, there's no energy out there in the ether that everybody's subject to. Energy, we always talk about, there is no outside reality, that's why. So we're always talking about our own energy, what the essence decides, the vibration that the essence brings and wants to play in, okay? So because we create everything. So normally NPCs' bodies follow the guidance of the essence. So the way that my body does, the way that your bodies do. But in the case of NPCs, there's no essence guiding them anymore. That's why they can fail so quickly if they've been misused, okay? But in this case, it means that they're also more subject to our intention. So for example, talking about family members, I've actually intended that my family, even though they're all gone at an essence level, that my family be well until the takedown. I don't want to deal, because as much as they are NPCs, excuse me, as much as they're NPCs, we love these people, right? It's hard to separate the fact that these are like our loved ones. So I understand what you're hinting at here, but yes, absolutely, we can support them. We can intend for them. You are not going to have an essence at the other end rejecting, resisting, or saying, no, I do want to have this bad experience because I want to see how it feels. There's no intention there, okay, from their part. This is the same thing that happens with the dark right now. There is no intention behind supporting these things. That's why a lot of corporations are failing, including Big Pharma. Big Pharma is failing big time. And this is happening because the people that work there, they don't have an essence anymore. So they don't have the intention to keep certain things going. They just go through the motions. So really the things are happening because we are intending them to happen, and they're just going through the motions based on what we want to see as the outcome. So you can absolutely use this to your advantage by intending for certain NPCs to be well or whatever it is. So absolutely, I think this is worthwhile work, because we don't want to see our loved ones suffer, even though it's just their bodies left behind. All right, Lorraine, I got kicked offline. I'm now not the host. That's okay, Lorraine. You know what? I see that it's actually fine. So thank you, though. I really appreciate that, Lorraine. Without Lorraine, a lot of the stuff wouldn't happen. I'm sure you guys have figured that out already. All right, so Leslie, thank goodness. Yeah, exactly. All right, Siobhan, why I asked that question is because up until last week, oneness was only a thought. I have now shifted into the feeling. And so I feel very overwhelmed around people, especially those with whom I have a positive interaction with. Anyone else feeling this? Let me have a sip of water. Excuse me. When I start talking about these things, you know this. Half of the time I spend coughing. All right. So, Siobhan, we are going through major upheavals. We don't want to know. We pretend that everything is the same. I wake up and it's Monday and it's the same as it was yesterday. When I woke up, it was Sunday. We are doing humongous amounts of work, not just while we sleep, even during the day. If you guys recall, in one of the videos, I talked about the fact that 25th told us that we are almost never here. In fact, reality is not really real. We pretend to see it a certain way. We ignore glitches all the time because most of the time we're not even here. Okay. For example, we get a glimpse of this when we have, what are those called when you have, oh my goodness, I can't think of that. Can you guys think of the word when you something comes and it's like, you don't know where it came from, and I can't think of it. Anyway, moving on. So basically the matrix glitches. Now, generally speaking, we're not here very much because again, yes, this gets bored. Okay, that's not that interesting. That's reality. There are a lot of things that we do automatically. We don't need our essence to be present. If I'm working 8 hours a day in my computer doing something super boring, my essence doesn't need to be here. But now, even more so, the essence is barely ever here. And that's because we don't want to be here anymore. Even though we're here, we're doing certain things and it's worthwhile to us, or we wouldn't do it. Nobody can force us to be here. The fact is we don't want to be here. And so we are doing so much more work, if you want to think of it in that sense, than we've ever been. And so we're always astral traveling, we're always bringing in information. So I'm not surprised that you're saying oneness was just a thought. And actually, it's interesting you're using those words, because even when we say, oh, we have to learn that we're consciously creating, we have to consciously learn that we're creating a reality. My first reaction when I heard that is that, yeah, we've always heard it. Of course we create a reality. Yeah, but that was just a thought. Those are words. Like, oh yeah, we create a reality. Nobody believes it, okay? Now we're learning that, darn, it is true, isn't it? Like just now, I don't know if you guys saw this, if you're in the Telegram group, that Carolyn was saying, oh, I had 2 cuts. She had like a 1-inch long cut appear on her right thumb. And then the next day she woke up and she had another cut on her left thumb. She goes, there's no reason, they're not dry. No reason for that. And then she woke up another day and all of a sudden she has the same cut, same length, it looks the same on her elbow. Excuse me, because they're talking to me, and so this is what happens. I apologize. And so basically what immediately, as soon as I asked, because I saw that and she was saying, do you know what's going on? So I asked, and basically what's happening, they said her higher self is just showing her this is all fake. She creates a reality. Stuff comes and goes like that. It's just like, I don't know if you guys saw this. I asked about this a long time ago. This is nothing. It's a spot on my forehead that came out of nowhere. I've had it for a few years now. So I asked about it. I said, what the hell? Where's this coming from? And they said, it's for fun. It's to show you create stuff. That's it. And so basically, this is the stuff we're dealing with now. It is happening. It is not a joke for us to realize, truly finally accept the fact that we are creating all of this. It is not a joke. Imagine, you know, most of us have seen the movie The Matrix. Imagine that you were in the movie The Matrix and you actually realize, just like Neo, like you start seeing codes all around you, you realize nothing is real. And it's not fun. When we watch a movie, we thought, go Neo, cool, oh my God, I can manipulate stuff. It is not fun, because all of a sudden you see everything. Not only, but you see that people don't want to know, like the guy that wanted what was it, the blue pill? He said, I just want to eat steak and hang out with women. And that's totally fine. I totally get it. So yeah, so it's tough. So I am not surprised that you're going through this, but that's because we are growing. If you want to use that word, it's not really a good word, because we think when we think of growing, we think we're becoming more. We're not becoming more. We are just becoming closer to how it will be on your earth. And that's what's happening with you. So I understand what you're saying about oneness. Excuse me. All right. So Leslie, Siobhan, sometimes not sure what I feel. So up and down. Yeah, pretty much. That's how we are. I have times, less and less, but I have times where I'm like, I'm still fall for it, because I want to fall for it. I still wish this reality was real, because again, it protects us from our emotions and from our knowing of what's been going on. And so sometimes I'm like, oh, and I'm upset about something. And I'm like, I'm even more upset because then I realize, oh, I did that to get myself again. I got myself again. And then it's not real. So of course we're up and down all the time. It's tough. It's not easy to be here. But again, we chose to be here, and we've aligned with this our entire lifetimes. We are trained, okay? We're not, this is not a flight by night operation. We trained for this, and not just in this lifetime, we trained for this. We have aligned with our choice since the takedown was announced. Since the takedown was announced, we decided what was going to happen. And okay, it's taken us 300 years, but it means we aligned. We couldn't just last minute decide, I want to go to the 3D chambers. And so because of that, it means that everything, even the fact that you're here right now, it was meant to be, meaning that you planned on it. These things don't happen by chance. All right, Siobhan, thank you, Leslie. Maybe this is the goal. Who knows? Yeah, this is the goal. This is not just happening by chance, for sure. Lorraine, I'm challenged around people, meaning I just don't want to interact. It's tough, guys. It's tough because, okay, let me give you my personal example. I am super social in the sense, and what I mean by that, it's not that I go out all the time. I have a small child and I really I don't do much at all. But I'm saying super social is in, I love interacting with people. Well, I need my own me time, which I haven't gotten in 6 years since my daughter was born. I really I really love hanging around people. I love people. Okay, I'm always learning something. I mean, it's wonderful for me. Okay, I'm one of those people. That's fine. And even I am at the point. My boyfriend was shocked the other day. Something else happened. An NPC friend of mine, a person I love dearly, and she did something so out of character that hurt me for about a couple of hours. And then I realized, what the hell did I set up? Because again, it's me. She's not there anymore. It's me. I'm like, really? Because I got myself again. I got myself to believe in the Matrix by doing that. I'm like, okay, so the game is still real. Look at this. Look at what happened. The truth is, nothing happened. I'm a joker. That's all that's happening. My higher self, well, my higher self's trying to protect me is what it is. But I'm okay. I don't need this kind of protection anymore. I'm over it. So I'm having a hard time with people too. This is just one example, but I have had multiple people that really, if I didn't know any of this, I would have been like, they've gone crazy, and they really let me down. These are friends. This is stuff that normally would hurt. And now I'm like, they're gone. What am I doing? Why am I even playing with this? And so actually what came to mind for me, and I want to tell you this just in case this happens, I put out, I don't know if you guys remember, there was a video about, I put out a few videos about when I connected with Source, but there was one specifically where I talked about the fact that there was a person on the road in a rotary, the rotary is roundabouts on the road, that she had driver's rage, and she basically, her goal was to upset me. Basically, she wanted to create this reality between me and her. But because I had just had a plant medicine experience, I was in a haze. And I don't mean that day, it was 3 days prior. So this lasted for several days. This oneness, as she even talked about it. This oneness was Source. So I wasn't here. I was functioning, but really my mind was elsewhere. And so I was completely not interested in interacting with this person, especially at this very low vibrational energy level. And she was trying to steer into me, to upset me. And I was just going like she didn't even exist. And eventually, because she kept doing this for a while, okay, for 5 or 6 minutes, she did very random stuff on the road and I was barely acknowledging it. It's almost like you have a fly, flying in the room. You're like, whatever. She stopped, waited for me. So she passed me, stopped, waited for me. And she gave me, and basically I could see her shouting, like she was agitated. It was like a whole drama, like in a soap opera. Okay. She was like shouting, like who knows what I'd done. I'd done nothing. By the way, I'd done completely nothing. And I remember I was so out of it, meaning not focused on this reality, that I turned my head and I mouthed, like she couldn't even hear me. She just saw me be, no. And I turned and I went on as if she didn't even exist. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I could do or could have done many things in reaction to what these people did. And instead that came to mind, because remember, we are training ourselves. This information we're getting is all training for when situations arise. So we get to our goal, which is we are almost our higher selves here and we create everything. And so all of a sudden I remember that, because these things don't happen by chance. And I'm like, I didn't even respond to this person. And I was like, no, that's it. No, meaning it's not real. I'm not going to engage. Guess what's going to happen? The reality collapses. You cannot, the 25th has told us many times, you cannot maintain, you cannot sustain, you cannot support a reality. You cannot create a reality that involves, you can create a reality for yourself, but you cannot create a reality that involves multiple people unless everyone in it supports it and wants it. Because this is supposed to be a two-way street. I'm not okay with supporting it. I couldn't care less. And therefore this reality cannot be, it will not sustain. So that's all there is to it. So when we talk about people, we do want to keep them going, but a lot of NPCs are breaking down. Okay. And especially you see it in the person closest to you because you know them. So all of a sudden you know somebody for 10 years and they do something that's completely crazy, not a character. What are you supposed to think? They're crazy? Because that's the only other explanation. It's like, okay, well, she's gone crazy. But of course we know about her now. And so you just gotta be like, okay, I created this, let it go. Because they're not there. They're not controlling anything. It's always your intention when you're interacting with them. But so this was a long round of my way to say, I also am becoming a little bit wary of seeing people. And it's unfortunate for me. It's very hard. This is the lesson I'm learning. I've always thought in this life, this is my personality. I always thought, I think of people as assets. And I always think of people as the more friends I have, the more people I know, the richer I am. And I've come to the point where I'm seeing all these people fall off my radar because I know they're not there or they do strange things. And I'm like, no, 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 no. And this has been tough for me. That's why it got me. This last hit got me a few days ago. This happened a few days ago for a couple of hours. Now, I clear stuff very quickly now because I thought to myself, I don't have a lot more friends. I don't have friends anymore, which is not true. I still have good friends, but maybe because I haven't seen them since they became NPCs, maybe I would have to cut them off as well, because the fact is there's nothing else here. And this confirms for me when the 25th says, don't worry, because I worry. I'm sure I'm not the only one, but I do worry. I don't want you to think I'm here like all enlightened and whatnot. I worry. I'm like, is this going to happen? We're going to change our mind and we're going to stay here longer because it's just us now. So we get to change things as we like. And the 25th keeps saying, don't worry, because at the end of the day, you're not just me. They're saying all of you, you're not going to be interested in staying here by yourselves. Like there's nobody else left, really. Many of us don't even know one other person that still has an essence around them. Think about it. We used to be 2 billion people, and now there's only 25 million people with an essence. And I bet you when Lorraine and I have another session, which I'm sure we'll have one in January, we'll probably be down to 10, 15 million people. Basically, you go out, there's nobody, you don't know anybody who has an essence. And I mean, on a personal level, not obviously online that we find each other. So it's tough. It's tough what we're going through. But we're masters. I mean, I'm not worried about us. Let's put it this way. Leslie. Yeah, I have been sleeping a lot, and then a couple of nights I don't sleep much. The sleeping part is tough. I actually asked the 25th about it because a lot of us were experiencing, I don't know if you guys remember my post in the community tab where I was talking about the fact I can't even make it to 9 o'clock sometimes. And if I don't have a nap. And that's because, again, the 25th said we don't want to be here. What's the easiest way to be gone? Is when you sleep. When you sleep, you're not here. So that's all there is to it. But sometimes we do want to be here, so that's fine. Sleep patterns will change. But if you have been feeling particularly sleepy or drained or whatever it is, no, that's why. It's not that it's not that something odd is going on. It's basically the same thing we've been talking about. Lorraine, I need to get better at creating stuff I want. Yeah, will be fantastic on your earth. Here, we really don't want to do a lot of that because, again, we haven't created a lot of stuff that we wanted here. And not only, we are not going to create anything that's long term, and because we don't want to rebuild anything here. So we really are creating a lot of low level stuff at this point. I've been creating more good stuff now than when I was younger. That's a good thing. That is a good thing. Elena, me too. I intend to create in a constructive way from now on, like regenerating tissues by will and manifesting what I really like. You know what though, guys, this is interesting because I feel like I'm past the hump of, I've been fighting this for emotionally, and I know there's going to be a lot more clearing that I have to do, just like all of us will have to do a lot of clearing when we get to New Earth, and we do realize the veil falls, and we do realize what's happening here. It will be tough because it's still going to be us. We're not going to be different. We're going to have the same emotions we have now. So this is Clea moving to New Earth. This is going to be Leslie moving to New Earth. This is going to be Jeffrey moving to New Earth. Nothing is different, okay? So we're going to know a lot more. Of course, the vibration is going to be different. It's going to be much higher. So that's going to help us not be as desperate about certain things, not as down about certain things, but we're still going to have to do a lot of integrating, accepting, and all of that. But the good news is that I have a feeling, and I'm actually going to ask the 25th about this because this started happening just a few days ago. I had a dream and I'm like, I don't want to get excited, but in this dream, it felt very light. And so I have a feeling that we're kind of going over a hump where, yes, there's a lot of mourning we've been doing. And of course, there's going to be more grieving we're going to be doing when we definitely see it happening, that this is being dissolved. But I do believe that we are at a point where we've integrated enough of this knowledge that we do create stuff where we can actually use it to our advantage. I'm not saying any of us is going to manifest necessarily winning the lottery. The 25th has said not only that the higher self is not interested in money, but also that we don't want to then feel like, oh, I'm a billionaire now or whatever it is. And yeah, I'm going to build this and that. We're not building anything here. But we can try focusing on manifesting things for fun, to say, oh, I want to see how this goes. And so we could try that. I do believe that we would. At this point, the game is up anyway. We know this is not real, so this is not going to hurt anything. So I like your perspective, Elena. I think that's awesome. Okay, Leslie. I find family and friends who are NPCs have a different vibe. Yeah, I even get on better with some of them. Is it because I don't take it personally with stuff? All of the above. Basically, not only, yes, of course, you are training yourself just like the rest of us. So obviously, when this information comes through, whether it resonates, it all resonates with you, a small part of it resonates with you, whatever you need to do for yourself, okay? It's all good, right? We don't have to take anything at face value if we don't want to. And but your higher self is still making you aware of stuff. And so of course, depending on what you specifically are working on in a particular time period or the work you have done, and again, there's no better or worse. Nobody's ahead of anybody else, okay? This is preference, this personality, it's whatever you want to call it. And so in this case, yes, if you go in thinking, oh, this is what's happening, it could be the NPCs are mellowed out, especially if some NPCs were more on the side of the dark. I'm not saying your family was on the side of the dark. I'm saying the 25th has said that a lot of NPCs, for example, that worked for the dark or had dark intentions, and it doesn't have to be dark like satanic, you know, it could be dark as in they just might not have the highest level of integrity the way we think of it, because, you know, we're very judgmental. There's good, bad, and in between, or whatever it is. These people would not have that intention anymore. So a lot of people that in the past might have been very quarrelsome or very angry or whatever, or very envious or whatever it is, that you can sense it, might not have that intention anymore. Therefore, they're easier to deal with. Or also there's the part, it's not or, and there's a part again about you being at a different conscious, having a different consciousness right now. And again, it's not a matter of levels of consciousness because we're all the same. It's a type of consciousness. So because of that, you will have different experiences. I think it's interesting, and I appreciate you guys actually writing this. And also when you give me feedback on videos and stuff and tell me how what you're experiencing, because it always tells me, I can always see what we're working on and where we're going. It really makes me feel good that we are manipulating our reality at will. It's really wonderful to say, because it's just confirmation for me of some of these things. So I do appreciate that. Not taking it personal is key. Yes, Lorraine, absolutely, you're correct. So Leslie, so I can get a new car. My car has been repaired 3 times the past 4 weeks. Telling you. Not going to give you any advice about the car because clearly I have my own issues with the car. And yeah, it's because we basically, again, our higher self thinks, let's do this. Not because it's entertaining, because it's distracting. Because we are so emotional about everything that's going on that we want to distract ourselves. So that's unfortunate, but it's what it is. And so until we get to the point where, and again, I'm working on it because I'm tired of all this low vibrational stuff popping up, but until we get to the point where we are like, yeah, I create all of it, good and bad, and therefore I really don't need to entertain myself or to pretend anymore. This is going to keep happening. But the 25th did say that the moment we do get there, it's not going to happen anymore. We're not going to have new low vibrational stuff come up. Because I was asking them, I'm like, what can we just have like a period of routine, a period of boring, nothing is happening. People can have 6 months without nothing happening, you know. It doesn't have to like be something every other week, which is what it's been for me. I can't tell you now, I'm dealing with like a physical issue, like low iron levels that I have to go in for. And I'm like, really? I'm looking at my higher self. I'm like, really? Just boring, lame stuff. So I hope you fix the car issue, Leslie. You need to have a come to Jesus with your higher self. Lorraine, I don't know, Leslie, a new car does not seem like too much to ask for. It really doesn't. My boiler, is that what you were saying? Leslie, is it your boiler? I'm not sure. It says Boyker. Okay. Anyway, you can. But anyway, this is cute. This is a cute conversation, and I get it though. It's not fun when you're dealing with this stuff. All right, Siobhan, could one single person who does not wish to experience the takedown yet delay it for the rest of us? It's not me, by the way. Remember how the 25th tells us that there is no judgment? We'll be like totally judging you right now. So no, we all agree. And we have all agreed. So in this particular case, for example, for the takedown, for the overtime from when the takedown, when we should have all been gone, first of all, the other people were gone anyway. It's not like we held them back because we said, no, we're not ready to do takedown now that we think we can do this. So people are still leaving right now. So if you wanted to be gone right now, you could. That's the bottom line. People are leaving as we speak. As I said, next time we check, there's going to be many less essences than we have right now. But all of us who are going to stay till the end, there's only 1 or 2 reasons. One is if, well, I'm talking about the side of the light. The dark, the people that are staying on the side of the dark have their own reasons, which I can go into more detail in a minute. But basically, on the side of the light, the 12,000, when the takedown was supposed to happen, and everybody had already left, so really it was only a few of us left. The 12,000 decided, saw the opportunity because of the impulse that was input by source this past spring. The energy had changed, and we saw basically the opportunity for this new information to be brought in. And here's where we are. We're learning it consciously. And everybody else who stayed behind on the side of the light has stayed to support the 12,000 because there is huge value add from learning this information. So nobody's being forced to stay, and I know you already know this, which means that one person would not force anybody else to stay behind or delay the takedown. We all decide. And basically in this case, we're waiting to see once the recall happens, We're not leaving before the recall happens, unless we change our mind. But as far as I know, we haven't. Once the recall happens, are we done? And I'm hoping that we are done. So then Leslie, I mean, my boiler was fixed twice, so maybe something good. Yeah, I guess. I was always working late when I had a job. I need to change it. we all have. Sometimes when you look back at your life, and this is what the life review process has been about, you look at your life and you realize that's how I was aligning. All these things have prepared me for what's to come. Because even our personality, when we pick this particular body with this particular NPC, we know the personality comes with the NPC. We didn't pick randomly. So whatever personality you have is what allowed you, first of all, to allow this information in. This doesn't happen. I mean, it's not like I have millions of subscribers or people that are watching this. Why is this happening? And while originally the 25th said the information is being percolated in the matrix, it's going to be downloaded like we download everything else. It doesn't need to be spoken about like we are on YouTube, Zoom, or whatever. Lately, they've said because of the overtime, which we had no idea this was going to happen, and because now we are consciously wanting to know certain stuff, this has been useful. So the fact that you are here, it clearly means something. It means you're wanting this information. It means this is the work you're doing in the background. So this is how we're being trained, basically how we are training ourselves. So absolutely, this is all meant to be. Basically, I know it sounds like something we've heard a million times, like a platitude, but it truly is, because we create things, so things don't just happen. So Shivon, I hope Telegram's still up when this happens. It's going to be a second when we decide. It's not going to be. This is not going to be anything scary. I want you guys to know this. All right. There is no reason to have fear of any of this. Fear is the vibration we have wanted here, we kept here, because it's a very, very low vibration, as you know, and it's allowed us to keep this reality in place. That's it. There is no fear when this happens, because we're our higher self. We're going to know what's going on. We have prepared for this for a long time. So I don't want you to be scared of this, okay? And of course, we'll be in touch all the time. And then if we cannot be in touch because we're on the earth, guess what? We're all going to be connected there, so we'll all be good. Lorraine, yeah, it will happen so quickly. You won't feel alone. No, for sure. Let me see what time it is. 2:26. So we've been here about an hour and a half. Was there anything else that you guys, I'm going through the questions real quick, make sure I answered everything. Was there anything else you guys wanted to discuss, or particular, doesn't have to be a question, but maybe something that you want to go over? I think we've gone over the NPC situation, the work we are doing in the background. The most obvious way of knowing the work you're doing is, again, in dream state, but some of us don't want to remember our dreams, which is perfectly fine. So don't beat yourself up. If you're not remembering your dreams, you're still doing the work. And then we've discussed the fact of why there is no timeline, but what we're focused on, which is the recall. The recall is going to happen. I know some do not believe it, and this is a good thing, as I say, because we want to know when it happens that it didn't have to. It was unbelievable, okay? This is what's going to be the last jolt for a lot of us to be like, okay, obviously, this would have never happened if we didn't intend it. It wasn't supposed to be. I mean, when you look, it's almost like a soccer game. The way that it looked like during the pandemic was that the other team was up 25-0, okay? And all of a sudden, the other team is like, every other day they're coming out saying, oh, this doesn't really work the way we thought to. Oh, that's really wrong. We're going to remove this. So none of this had to happen, but it's happening. So I love it. I mean, it's incredible what we're living through. I know it looks a little bit, humdrum. In reality, this is how we want it to look. We don't want any drama. We definitely don't want disclosure. I know some of us say, oh, do you want disclosure? And that's perfectly fine. It doesn't mean we actually do want it. I know I wouldn't be able to take it. There's no way. Leslie, food has tasted different. I find food so disappointing. You know, food is a code, and depending on what do I mean by a code? The 25th tells us codes are just triggers. Basically, they're vehicles, tools that we use to have a certain experience, or basically, or to bring a memory back, or to tweak, you know, the matrix. And so really your connection with food, or your experience of food, really pretty much tells you where you are at that point, which you're working on. So right now it might taste weird for you, you might not want it, but then you might come to a point where you want it. For example, I've gone to a period where I've wanted a lot of food. And the reason for that is because I am desperately trying to ground, but there's nothing to ground into. That's the problem. But because I am doing so much work, and we all are, I'm no better or no different than anybody else, okay? But I've been doing so much work that I need ways to ground, or I need times when I'm like, oh, but I know that's going to make me feel a certain way, which food does it for me. You know, we all know how food works. There are foods that you're like, it gives you a moment of respite, okay? And so this connection to food, it changes all the time, just like sleeping, because of that. So, but that will tell you where you are emotionally. So I think the message that I want to make sure is clear here, because I've seen a pattern during this call where this has come up for me a couple of times, that I mentioned things in relation to this, is that you watch, because we create our reality. You watch what's happening, how you're interacting with things, people, food, sleep, your health, what's happening with your health, your house breaking down, the boiler, the car, snags coming up. Like, I'll give you an example. I live in a condo building, and all of a sudden they come up with a special assessment, huge special assessment out of nowhere, because there's nobody left. I already know, I already asked. I said, is there anybody even left in this building? There's nobody left, it's just me. So you tell me the special assessment, who's deciding on the special assessment? Because again, I needed something that looked like outside reality, where I could go like, crap, stuff is happening to me. And now, of course, I know better. It's not happening to me. I made it all happen. But at the time when this happened, when it first came up, it was good. Even though I hated it from a 3D perspective, from an emotional perspective, I was like, we're not by ourselves. We're not playing by ourselves. There's still somebody playing with us. Stuff is still real. Stuff is happening to me. Nothing is happening to me. I'm past that now. Now I realize I'm just making it happen. That's what I mean when I said, as we learn that we're making everything happen, stuff like this low vibrational stuff, we're not going to feel the need to create it anymore to prove that the shell is real. Okay. Again, the game's up. We know it's not real. It's all BS. We're ready to move on. Okay. And so basically that's what's going to happen. So monitor, if you're interested, you don't have to do anything, obviously. If you're interested, monitor what's happening with you, and it will give you an inkling of what you're working on, and how, and emotionally how you're handling things. And there's no right or wrong way. It's just telling you, oh, what do I want to believe? Or what is my need? When I realized this thing about the condo association, the special assessment, I realized, I still wanted to believe this was real. I still needed something low vibration to bring me back to 3D reality. And that's okay. And now I'm past that. Okay. So that's what I mean. This might be a good signal for you guys if you're interested in knowing where you are. For example, another signal is if you remember your dreams. If you remember your dreams, it means that you might be open. Doesn't have to be that way, but you might be open to knowing some of the stuff that's happened here. And by knowing, I mean really knowing, like living through it, like as I explained, like feeling the feelings of being in certain situations. And if you aren't, you aren't. Again, there's no right or wrong answer here. Siobhan, one more question, please. Of course, I love it. That's what we're here for. So I love these questions. Thank you so much, guys, for being here too. This is fun for me. Have you met with a council again since your first meeting? I just cannot remember what you refer to them as. The council. Oh, I know what you're talking about. The council, you're talking about the people, the watchers in the 14th dimension. That's where I met with them. You know what is funny? I've had this question on the last 3 sessions. We never got to it, where I wanted to know what we're doing at watcher level, because I'm one of the watchers, and I don't know. Let me see if they'll tell me. Give me just 1 second. Are we still meeting? Yeah. So they're saying that. We're still meeting, but really, mostly what I'm reporting is that we are learning. But they can feel it, right? They can already feel it. Where the entire multiverse is feeling what we're doing right now. This is how huge it is, because this is not about planet Earth at all. So I do want to make this clear. What we are doing right now has nothing to do with planet Earth. This is a goner. This is a doozy at this point, okay? We are doing this because we are allowing this never happens. In the last year and a half, we've allowed these two pieces of information, really it's a lot of information, but these two things to percolate inside the matrix that were not allowed before. Keep in mind, we've been in the matrix, in the multiverse, we created a multiverse eons ago. Until a year and a half ago, we did not allow the knowledge of the 25th to be had inside the matrix. We wanted to believe this was it, okay? So even us, and we're obviously interested in always learning more and more about really how reality works, we would have believed what everybody else believes, what I myself believed until a year and a half ago. Ascension, we're waking up. We are, when everybody wakes up, we're gonna have different vibration here, so we're gonna have new Earth on this planet, and it's all good. Nothing wrong with any of that. Totally fine. So this information that we've actually had from the 25th, which is like, there's actually another planet and all of these things are gonna happen. We were not allowed to have it. And this, what we're doing right now, it's more information that we brought in, as I mentioned before, so that anyone in the multiverse can have it. This information we're bringing in right now, again, it's nothing to do with this planet. This planet is a goner. Has everything to do with the fact that it's increasing the awareness level, the consciousness level, the vibration of the entire multiverse. So this is why it's so huge. It's completely changed the game just as much as when Source input the new impulse in the matrix, which is what allowed us to then do this work, because we would have never done this if the energy hadn't changed. We would have just done the takedown as planned in July. And so besides that, obviously that's made the whole multiverse that much more re-energized. We are doing the next step, okay? Again, because of that impulse. And so this is huge. And this is basically what I'm discussing with my watcher friends. Sorry, I just let somebody in here. Okay. And so, yes, we are still, so we continue meeting. I mean, they're telling me that, yeah, we continue meeting all the time, because basically I'm just reporting what we're doing here. But again, the entire multiverse feels us. Nothing is the same as it was before. And especially because of the work we're doing right now. So I want you to, we cannot wrap our minds around this, but I want you to start considering how important it is, what we're doing right now. Because of course, from a 3D perspective, we are so sick and tired. We just want to be on your Earth. But in reality, we would have not stayed if this hadn't been such a huge deal. So when we are down, because I know I get down quite a bit, I think it's a comfort, at least to me, to remember this, okay? Thank you, Leslie. I appreciate that. Lorraine, thank you, Clay, on the 25th. Always good to hang out with you and our wonderful CLEA'S World group. Yes, it is fun. It is. This is really the thing that's making it worthwhile and bearable for me at the end of the day to be here this much longer. I'm just telling you guys straight up, everything else is just not very inspiring. Mel, I'm focusing on what makes me feel good, seeking those things out and minimizing the rest. That's how I am seeing this out. That's the best way to do it. And I did ask, because of some of the stuff you've gone through, Mel, I did ask about that. And again, they were saying, and I actually have this information coming out. They were saying, you know, they use it not because of you specifically. Again, we're all doing the same work here. But basically, they were saying, this is how you know what your higher self is making you aware of. It's like when you do pay attention to something that's not high vibrational, or that is not good for you, your higher self will bring side effects to show you how that really works. Like, again, the veil is getting very thin, so now we have consequences right away. We know the consequences are due to where emotionally we are paying attention. Because again, we want it. We want to emotionally feel a certain way. So we do need to be aware of what we're focusing on. And again, same thing is happening to me. This is not just you, Mel. I mean, we're all doing the same thing, as I said. But so that's excellent. I'm happy to hear that you're focusing on what makes you feel good. That's so good, Mel. All right, Lorraine says me too. Thanks to all. Thank you, Leslie and Elena. Thank you so much. So I want to thank you guys. I think we covered a lot of important ground today. As always, I would love to hear how stuff is being experienced in your corner of the world. When I post a video and I ask for comments, I really mean it. This is the kind of stuff otherwise we get to do only every once in a while, but I will make sure that we have one of these at least every month or so, because I do think it's important at this point to see where we're at and what is going on. And so I hope that you enjoy these things. Oh, Carolyn. Hi, Carolyn. So thank you everybody for joining. I'll have this up on YouTube so you guys can rewatch it if you're interested. And if you have any more questions, even though it's not in this format, please let me know either in the group or again on the YouTube channel, wherever our community posts, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. So take care, everybody, and I'll see you next time. And I wanted to say happy holidays wherever you might be in the world. So exciting time of the year, huh? Take care. Bye-bye.